How does a blind girl chop an onion? How does a blind girl light a candle? How do blind people dream? How do blind people read and write? We use Braille, and Braille is a system of raised dots that I can feel with my fingers, and that's how I read. I write Braille by using this. It's called a Perkins Brailler. It punctures holes into paper for me. This is a Braille computer, and I know it as a Braille note. It has a Braille keyboard on here and a refreshable Braille display. One Braille cell represents one character and is comprised of 6 dots. So for instance, if I wanted to write the alphabet, for letter A, just dot 1 would be raised. For letter B, dot 1 and 2, and for C, 1 and 4. How does a blind girl pick up her guide dog's poop? Busy girl, busy girl. Busy, busy, busy. And I feel down her bum. And then I've got double poop bags. And then when she moves, I feel her go up and pick up the poop. I feel the grass to where her poop is. Very glamorous. Can't believe I'm doing this on TikTok. And there we go. How does a blind girl chop an onion? Chefs always use their fingers anyway to guide a knife, and they don't necessarily look at the chopping board when they're chopping, and it's just the same for me. I use a serrated knife and it's very, very sharp, so I'm not going to hurt myself. Chop the sides of the onion off. It's routage. And then put that outside the chopping board. Chop a line down so then I can peel off the layers, because all onions have layers. I chop in half, like that. If the onions are flat against the chopping board, and I go with the grain, bridging my hands. How does a blind girl deal with a gas hob while she's cooking an egg? Pan in one hand, I'm going to feel along the cooker while it's cold and off. I'm going to place it in the centre where the flame would be. Let's get it centralised, have a good feel. This is a water boiler. It rattles when the water in the pan is brought up to the boil. I'm going to place it in the bottom. With the heat still off, a freshly boiled kettle, I'm just going to fill up the pan. It's boiling, yay, I can hear it. I've lowered the heat, it's now simmering and it's calmed down. I'm going to lower the eggs into the water in the chip basket. How does a blind girl light a candle? I've got some extra long matches, so when the match is lit, the flame is going to be as far away from my fingers as humanly possible. Also, matchboxes, the side of them are so tactile, so I'm going to strike the match away from me. Wood wick candles are the best because they have an extra long wick, so this blind girl can feel with her one hand and bring the match to feel with the other. And this candle sounds like the fire is on when it's burning, so audibly it's amazing. I always light candles on glass tables, just in case anything happens. Nothing will ever set on fire. How does a blind girl have a shower? This is my shampoo and my conditioner, but as you can see, both bottles feel and probably look exactly the same, and this is, to be honest, the case with most brands in the supermarkets. I just do the hair bubble trick where I just wrap around the hair bubble onto the conditioner, and there we go. I know the difference between both of them, but also I'm very organised on my shower shelves. As you can see, I have 2 shelves. On the top is my shower gels, and on the bottom to the left is my shampoo, to the right is my conditioner. I never mix these up, otherwise I will be putting conditioner on first and shower gel on my hair. How does a blind girl turn her shower on though? It's very tactile. I just turn the knobs and I know what temperature to have on, and left is the on. As a blind woman, I use these tactile markings to navigate. You have probably seen them all over British streets, but what do they mean? Equally spaced dots in a grid formation mean you're coming up to a dropped curb. If you see this type of paving and it's red like this one, you're coming up to a crossing with lights. But if it's yellow, you're just coming up to a regular dropped curb. Diagonal dots mean you're near a train station platform, or there's going to be a big drop. Horizontal stripes along the path mean you're coming up to some steps. This lozenge-shaped paving means you're coming up to a street level hazard or a tram. Horizontal and vertical stripes next to each other indicate there is a bike path next to a footpath. And sometimes you will occasionally see one tactile line to and from a destination. This one is from Old Street Tube Station to Moorfields Eye Hospital. I'm blind, so how do I type? This is my iPhone keyboard and I swipe left and right to hear the letters, and I'm going to double tap to type it. And then I'm going to find I. Double tap. Hey! And on a laptop I touch type. I've learnt my way around the keyboard. Usually F and J also have tactile bumps on the keys as well. I'm blind and this is how I differentiate banknotes in my purse. This is Money Reader, a fantastic app that I use to tell banknotes apart. I'm just going to hover over each note, there's two on the table, and we'll see what they are. This is the first one. £5. Love it. And a tenner. Also, on 10 and £20 notes, you can feel raised tactile bumps similar to Braille, and that's how I, sometimes without the app open, I tell that this is a £10 note.
How does a blind person know where their guide dog is?
She has bells on so I can hear her. How does a blind person cross the road? I use the tactile markings to find the crossing. I've navigated to the box and I can feel the button, click it, it's very tactile. I can't see the wait sign, so I hear for the audible signals. But if there isn't any audible signals on a crossing, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't, I feel for underneath and there's a spinning cone. How do blind people dream? Not all blind people dream the same at all, and for me, as a completely blind person for 8 years, and I was completely sighted for 17, I dream as if I'm in a storybook. I'm reading the words on a page, I'm listening to the sounds, I'm tasting things if I'm in a restaurant, this imaginary restaurant, I'm, touching things. I don't have visual memories anymore, so it's just like that in my dreams. I do have way more nightmares now though. How does a blind person film and post a TikTok video? So when I'm filming TikToks inside and it's just a chatty one where I'm sitting on the sofa, I personally love to be quite independent with that. First of all, Ollie here, my sighted fiance, he's lovely. He sets up the tripod for me and gets me in frame, and then I can use voiceover on my iPhone to click start and stop on the recording. When I'm filming a TikTok video where I'm moving around a lot more or doing something, or I'm outside, Ollie helps me because I couldn't possibly keep track of the camera if I'm moving about. So this is when I hand it over to Ollie to edit. I turn voiceover off, and then he saves it in drafts for me. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
#blind. And then I click post. Here are some myths about blindness that you should stop believing. When interacting with a blind person, you shouldn't say, "Look at that," or "Have you seen this?" Never ever change your vocabulary when talking to a blind person like me. I personally always say, "Did you watch that great TV show?" I can't technically watch it, but I listen with audio description, and I'm not going to change my vocab. When talking to a blind person, you need to speak really loudly, otherwise we won't know you're talking to us. No, just have a chat with me as you would any other person. My eyes are the only things that don't work. Blind people have superior hearing. Hearing is my main sense, but it's not better than a sighted person's. I have learnt to hone in on the sounds around me a lot more, and obviously because I've adapted to that way of life, it's the way I personally see the world. How not to sight guide a blind person?
Hi, I'm Billy. I'm your passenger assistant. Come with me. Hi, I'm George. I'm your passenger assistant. I've come to help you today.
Hi George, how are you?
I'm doing well. Let's go.
This is the correct way to sight guide a blind person.
Hi, I'm Billy from Passenger Assistance. Would you like an elbow?
Oh, hi Billy. Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Let's go.
What do you do if you see a blind person out and about and they look lost? What I would say is a lot of the time we're not lost because we have a lot of accessible apps on our iPhone like Google Maps or Blind Square or Microsoft Soundscape. They're brilliant for navigation as a blind woman. Also, we have usually had orientation and mobility sessions with a qualified mobility instructor, and they have taught us how to use a cane or a guide dog. So on the off chance that we do look lost, which is quite possible, the motto should be just ask, don't grab. So for instance, if I'm in a train station, maybe your name is Sally and you're a passerby, I would love for you to introduce who you are. So I'm Sally, I'm a passerby, would you like assistance? And I can say yes or no.